Get ready, you son of a bitches. It's time for another NFL Weekly Review. I've never felt the touch of a woman. Arizona versus New Orleans. The last two Thursday Night Football games were down to the wire, but unwatchable because there was no offense. Now, this week, we got a shitload of points in a game that really wasn't close despite the final score. Go figure. It started off exciting enough with soulless quarterback number 14 finding Rashid Shaheed for a 53-yard touchdown. Fast forward to the second quarter where Arizona tied the game at 14 off of a touchdown run and two-point conversion with 2:28 left before halftime. Then everything went off the rails. No offense to Antonio Brown. Andy Dalton threw two pick sixes in a minute to give Arizona a 28-14 halftime lead. Kyler Murray found something called Greg Dortch for a touchdown late in the third to make it 35-17 Arizona, and the fourth quarter was mostly just garbage time, as New Orleans never had the ball within one score despite Dalton throwing two touchdowns to Juwan Johnson and a field goal to make it 42-34 with 43 seconds left. New Orleans' onside kick failed, and Kyler celebrated the win by going on a 30-hour Call of Duty binge. Not really, but maybe? Dallas versus Detroit. This game saw the heroic return of Dak Prescott for Dallas, but it wouldn't be an easy win, as he would have to face PC principal Dan Campbell's knee-biters. Who the fuck am I kidding? This game sucked major ass. No offense to Dwayne Wade. After starting off the season really well, Jared Goff has reverted back into Jared Goof the last several games, as he committed 4 turnovers while Detroit committed 5 overall. The entire first half was a battle of field goals, with Detroit actually leading 6-3 at halftime. Dallas finally woke up and took control in the second half, as Zeke Elliott ran for back-to-back touchdowns to make it 17-6 late in the fourth quarter, before a Dak touchdown pass made it 24-6 to reach the final score. Detroit is now 1-5, so all of the preseason boners everybody got about Dan Campbell from Hard Knocks ended up meaning nothing. Remember this, folks, the Lions will never prosper. At least Dallas will make the divisional round most years before imploding in hilarious fashion. Carolina versus Tampa Bay. Hold on a second. You're telling me that Tom Brady, the 7-time Super Bowl champion, just lost by 18 points to a tanking Panthers team? I'm gonna need 5 minutes alone. Please excuse me. Oh, okay, that's better. Felt good. Anyway, I don't want to hear anybody make fun of Tom Brady for losing and being 3-4 this year. This is a man who willingly decided to leave his family to deploy to Carolina to protect this country. If you make fun of him, shame on you. As for the actual game, there was no action until late in the first half when PJ Walker found DJ Moore on a dime to go up 7-0 at halftime. In the third, Chuba Hubbard added a nice touchdown run to give Carolina a 14-0 lead after 3. Tampa finally got on the board with a field goal, but Carolina responded with another Walker touchdown pass to go up 21-3. Carolina smartly avoided scoring another touchdown that would have put them up 28-3, therefore rendering Tommy Tantrum useless. Giselle paying off Mike Evans to drop a wide-open touchdown to start the game was a great move on her part. Of course, this is Tom Brady we're talking about, so if the season ended today, this lucky bitch would still get a home playoff game. Go figure. At some point, Tampa will get it going again, but I'm greatly enjoying watching Brady eat shit in the meantime. No offense to 2 girls, 1 cup. Tennessee versus Indianapolis. Nothing like an AFC South battle to get your cocks hard and your clams wet, am I right? I'm not gonna lie, this game was pretty boring, full of punts, field goals, and turnovers. Only one offensive touchdown was had on this day, which is pretty sad. Anyway, the play of the game was a 76-yard pick six by Tennessee's Andrew Adams off of Matt Ryan early in the second quarter to give the Tits of Tennessee a 10-0 lead. They bumped that lead to 13-0 at halftime before Ryan found Paris Campbell for a touchdown to make it 13-7 heading into the fourth. Ryan and Indy would never get the ball back within one score again, however, as Tennessee made it 16-7 on a field goal. Then Indy made it 16-10 with a field goal of their own before Tennessee added another field goal to make it 19-10 with 5 minutes left. Indy's last hurrah ended with a Michael Pittman fumble with 3 minutes left, and then Tennessee used Derrick Henry to drain the rest of the clock to hang on to the 19-10 win. Matt Ryan is now benched for the rest of the year for Sam Ehlinger. It's time to be a family man, Matt. Last year, Tennessee was the most forgettable 1 seed ever, and right now they're the most forgettable 4-2 team ever. They remind me a bit of the Alex Smith era Chiefs. They win a lot of games, but they're never a threat to win it all. Baltimore versus Cleveland. Who needs passing touchdowns, am I right? There were 4 total touchdowns scored in this game, and all of them came via the rush. Nick Chubb got it started with a 2-yard run to give Cleveland a 7-0 lead before the teams exchanged field goals to make it 10-3 Cleveland after 1. Baltimore would own the next 2 quarters, though, going on a 17-0 run to take a 20-10 lead thanks largely to 2 Gus Edwards touchdown runs. Cade York York made a field goal for Cleveland to make it 20-13 heading into the final quarter. The fourth quarter began with Justin Tucker making a 55-yard field goal to give Baltimore a 23-13 lead, before Cleveland answered back, kicking and screaming with a Kareem Hunt touchdown run to make it 23-20 with 9 minutes left. Baltimore drove the ball inside Cleveland's 25, but running back Justice Hill fumbled it away with 3 minutes left, giving Cleveland a chance to win the game. A controversial offensive pass interference call on a would-be go-ahead touchdown catch by Amari Cooper put a stain on the ending of this one. Cleveland instead settled for a 60-yard field goal attempt that was blocked to effectively end the game and drop them to 2-5. It's obvious the Browns need Deshaun Watson back immediately. If not for his talent on the field, then his weekly sermons on women's rights in the locker room to help boost team morale. Cincinnati versus Atlanta. It's hard to get off to a better start than Joe Burrow did in this one, as he had 344 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a perfect 158.3 rating at halftime. His first touchdown pass was a 60-yarder to Tyler Boyd to go up 7-0. Then, amateur boxer Joe Mixon punched in a 1-yard touchdown to go up 14-0. Burrow then found Jamar Chase for a 32-yard touchdown to go up 21-0. Atlanta responded with a touchdown run, but Burrow answered with another long touchdown pass to Chase to go up 28-7 with 51 seconds left in the half, but Atlanta quickly went on a 10-0 run in the last 39 seconds, thanks to a 75-yard touchdown pass and a field goal to make it 28-17 Cincy at halftime. Atlanta had multiple drives to make it a one-score game in the third, but punted both times. Burrow then led a touchdown drive where he scored on a 1-yard run himself to make it 35-17 after 3, and that was all she wrote. Atlanta only got one drive in the fourth, which ended with a punt, before Burrow led a monster 9-minute drive to drain the rest of the clock. I've been a Justin Herbert over Burrow guy for a while, but I'm getting very close to switching sides. No offense to Kevin Durant. Washington versus Green Bay. After 2 terrible back-to-back losses, this was a must-win game for Green Bay, and I guess they didn't get the memo. Things started off well enough, I guess, with Aaron Rodgers finding Aaron Jones on a touchdown pass to go up 7-0. Then a pick six put Green Bay up 14-3 early in the second, but Washington, inspired by owner Dan Snyder's impeccable integrity and sacrifice, reeled off 20 unanswered points. Taylor Heineke threw 2 touchdown passes to make it 14-10 and then 17-14 before Washington added a field goal to make it 20-14 entering the fourth. Rodgers had a chance to take the lead, but a 4th-and-1 drop ended that hope. Washington added another field goal to go up 23-14 with 7 minutes left. Rodgers finally made a good play, finding Jones on an awesome throw on the run for a touchdown to make it 23-21 Washington with 3:26 left, but Washington drained the clock, giving Rodgers only 23 seconds to make magic work. And just like in London a few weeks earlier, it ended with nothing. Green Bay is now 3-4 after 7 games for the first time in the Rodgers era, and it might be time for Rodgers to retire and become a full-time clay eater or whatever the fuck weird shit it is that he does in his free time with whatever girlfriend he has now. It's obvious he's done with taking football seriously. I guess he was just sick of waiting until January to shit his pants. New York Giants versus Jacksonville. These fluke-ass 6-1 Giants just keep winning under first-year head coach Alex Jones. At some point, the Cinderella run will stop and I will laugh, but it's definitely been an interesting switch-up from past years. Daniel Jones found Darius Slayton to put New York up 7-0, but Jacksonville responded with a Travis Etienne touchdown and 2-point conversion to go up 8-7 after 1. The second quarter saw nothing but field goals as New York took a 13-11 lead in halftime. Trevor Lawrence ran for a score to make it 17-13 Jacksonville early in the third. Lawrence would get 2 drives up 4 with a chance to extend the lead, but failed. This allowed New York to take the lead back on a Jones touchdown run with 5:31 left to go up 20-17. A 3-and-out by Jacksonville gave New York the ball back, which ended with them kicking a field goal to make it 23-17 with 1:07 left. Once again, Lawrence would have a chance to save the day in clutch time, as it feels like every week he's in the same position. Thanks to some fortunate penalties, Lawrence drove the ball downfield, and on the last play fired a bullet to Christian Kirk for 16 yards. But Kirk was stopped on the 1-yard line as time expired. Shout out to Titans-Rams in Super Bowl 34 to seal the heartbreaking loss for 2-5 Jacksonville. Las Vegas versus Houston. In a must-win game for both teams, it was Vegas that emerged victorious. The first quarter saw just a Vegas field goal to make it 3-0, but the second quarter is where the fun began. Human draft, Davis Mills threw a touchdown to Chris Moore to make it 7-3 Houston. Then Houston added a 55-yard field goal to make it 10-3. But Vegas shoved back as a tribute to Davante Adams, with Derek Carr throwing an absolute laser to Mac Hollins to tie the game at 10 at halftime. Houston took a 13-10 lead on a field goal, then responsibly safe driver Josh Jacobs took over the game, running for a 4-yard touchdown to make it 17-13, but Mills found Super Bowl 53 champion wide receiver Philip Dorsett for a touchdown to give Houston a 20-17 lead entering the final quarter. Jacobs found the end zone again to put Vegas up 4. Houston punted. Then Jacobs found the end zone for a third time to put Vegas up 11 with 7 minutes left. But the game ended for good when Mills threw a brutal 73-yard pick six to 3-time Super Bowl champion Duron Harmon to reach the final score of 38-20. Harmon is like Tracy Porter. Never made a Pro Bowl, but this bastard always seems to make key plays. Props to Davante Adams for not lightly shoving anybody this week. He literally could have killed that guy last last week, who is definitely not faking the injury to try and get money. New York Jets versus Denver. Every time I do one of these weekly reviews, the Broncos always give me the hardest time because I swear to God they have not played in an exciting game in 7 years. They are both bad and boring, and this embarrassing 16-9 loss to the Jets was no exception. Russell Wilson missed the game thanks to eating too many of his Subway sandwiches, which gave him unlimited diarrhea. In his steed was Brett Rippon, who sucked just as much as you'd expect. The first quarter of this game saw 2 touchdowns, a beautiful 62-yard touchdown run by Breece Hall for New York, who is now out for the season because the Jets can never prosper, and a touchdown run by Latavius Murray to make it 7-6 Jets. The last 3 quarters of this game saw nothing but punts, field goals, an interception, and turnover on downs. Jets quarterback Zach Manziel once again did next to nothing except watch his defense dominate. Denver had at least 6 drives in the second half with a chance to take the lead and got nothing done. Just embarrassing. I don't believe Nathaniel Hackett will make it to the end of the season at this point. But I don't feel bad though. This is what the state of Colorado deserves for endorsing marijuana, the deadliest drug in history. Kansas City versus San Francisco. This game was delayed several hours to clean up the field, which was moist and soggy and full of cum after every man and woman in attendance ejaculated at the sight of Jimmy Garoppolo and his new teammate Christian McCaffrey standing next to each other on the sideline. As for the game itself, San Fran jumped out to a 10-0 lead thanks to a Jimmy touchdown pass to Ray McCloud off of a Mahomes interception. But after that one miscue, Mahomes was virtually perfect the rest of the day. He found Mecole Hardman for a touchdown to make it 10-7. San Fran added a field goal, but Hardman responded with a 25-yard touchdown run to make it 14-13 KC at halftime. KC made it 21-13 after Clyde Edwards-Helaire touchdown run. He literally killed a guy. Go look it up. San Fran added another field goal, but you don't beat Mahomes kicking field goals, son, as Mahomes then found Justin Watson to make it 28-16 KC entering the fourth. Jimmy found George Kittle for a touchdown to make it 28-23 early in the fourth, but KC took over the rest of the way. Hardman ran for another score to make it 35-23. Then Frank Clark sacked Jimmy for a safety to make it 37-23. Then Mahomes capped it all off with a 45-yard touchdown pass to Juju Smith-Schuster to reach the final score of 44-23. Mahomes, when he's on his game, is the most unstoppable force in NFL history. No offense to Ben Roethlisberger. Seattle versus the Chargers. After Mahomes and Allen, you can make a legitimate argument that Geno Smith has been the 3rd best quarterback in the league this year. Go figure. 32-year-old draft bust suddenly emerges as a stud. This game was no different. Geno kicked off the events with a 20-yard touchdown pass to Marquise Goodwin, but star rookie running back Kenneth Walker III also deserves his props, as he ran for 168 yards and 2 touchdowns, the first of which made it 14-0. Seattle then led 17-0 after one before LA responded with back-to-back touchdowns to make it 17-14, but Geno was unfazed, throwing another touchdown to Goodwin with 1:40 left in the half to make it 24-14 Seattle at halftime. The third quarter saw only a Seattle field goal to make it 27-14 entering the fourth. LA appeared to have some hope when Walker was tackled for a safety, but Justin Herbert did nothing with the ball down 27-16 or 30-16. Walker then finished off the Chargers with a 74-yard touchdown run to make it 37-16. Herbert threw a garbage time touchdown to reach the final score of 37-23, but once again, Herbert was underwhelming. He came into this game with a career 19-19 record, and with the loss, he has still never had a winning career record at any point, which is insane. He's dangerously tiptoeing the overrated line right now. Miami versus Pittsburgh. The return of Tua saw Miami coming out looking like the 2007 Patriots on their opening drive, as he found Packers owner Raheem Mostert to give Miami a 7-0 lead. Miami expanded that lead to 13-0 with 2 field goals after the first quarter, before Pittsburgh answered back with 10 straight points of their own, including a beautiful touchdown catch by rookie George Pickens from Kenny Kitten Mittens. Miami added a field goal to make it 16-10 Miami at halftime, and if you were expecting any points in the second half, then, well, you were shit out of luck, as the second half consisted of 10 punts, 2 interceptions, and 1 turnover on downs. God, doesn't that just get you horny? Pickett had 2 great chances to give Pittsburgh a lead late in the fourth, getting the ball to the Miami 15 before eventually throwing an interception, and then on his final drive, Pickett got the ball to the Miami 25 before throwing a terrible end zone interception to lose the game. Pickett now has 2 touchdowns and 7 interceptions on the season, and while some of those interceptions are misleading, it's still not what you want to see from a first-round quarterback, especially when he has baby hands. Seriously, those things are hilarious to look at. Tua is now 4-0 this season in games he didn't die in. Chicago versus New England. I honestly don't know what to say. The fact that the Bears won in a blowout and Justin Fields did whatever he wanted to do to Bill Belichick's defense was surprising enough in this 33-14 Bears win, but that's almost secondary to the Pats quarterback situation. Responsible alcohol consumer Mac Jones went from savior to pariah to potentially savior again all in one night, as New England fell behind 10-0 early thanks in part to his terrible play. Belichick then brought in Bailey Zappi, who led 2 touchdown drives to put New England up 14-10 late in the first half before Chicago took over the rest of the game. Jones was benched for turnovers, but Zappi finished the night committing 3 of those himself, including 2 second-half interceptions. It feels as if Belichick has generated a quarterback controversy for no reason. It's one thing to do if you have Hall of Famers like Joe Montana and Steve Young, but both Jones and Zappi are limited quarterbacks. As for Chicago, if they lean into using Fields' elite athleticism more, they could be a solid 500 team instead of straight garbage. Fields still can't throw and his pocket presence is terrible, but he is a legitimate runner. Anyway, enough of this football shit. You know what time it is. It's puppy time.